Hey guys, in today's top 5, I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite books as a child. Okay, so this list is going to consist of books that I downright read when I was a child. Like elementary school age, I guess you can say. This is not going to be books that I read as an adult. They are strictly books I read as a child. To start off first is Say Cheese and Die by R.L. Stine. This is seriously the first book that I ever remember buying, and you probably can't tell by looking at it, but it is falling apart. I literally have tape holding the cover onto this book. It is that old. Say Cheese and Die is about this boy who finds this camera, but it's no ordinary camera. The camera can tell the future. And when the boy takes pictures with the camera, the pictures come back really weird. And so he tries to stop these pictures from coming true. And it's really, really good and probably one of my favorite Goosebump books. Next is Wait Till Helen Comes by Mary Downing Hahn. This is a ghost story, and it's about a girl and her brother who moved to this old church with their parents. And their stepsister is kind of acting weird, and she says she meets this ghost out in the woods named Helen, and Helen is apparently a bad person because Helen is trying to make the boy and girl's stepsister do some really bad things. And it has a lot of intensity to it, and it has a very big theme of death in it. And I actually read this again a couple weeks ago, and I was very surprised about the theme of death in here because I don't remember how dark this book was as a child. At number 3 is another Mary Downing Hahn book called Daphnes Book. And this is about a girl named Jessica who is partnered up with a girl named Daphne for a creative writing assignment. Daphne is like the black sheep of the school. No one likes Daphne because Daphne is weird. She doesn't talk to nobody, she stays to herself, and Jessica is embarrassed at the beginning to be partnered with Daphne. But the story is ultimately about Jessica learning to accept people and accept people's differences, and that it's not all about popularity. And the book has a very great message about friendship, and I absolutely adored it. And at number 2 is The Giver by Lois Lowry. And this is the first dystopian book I ever read. This book is just all sorts of great, and I absolutely cannot wait for a movie version of this. I have been dying for a movie version of this since I was probably in the 5th grade. It's the story about a boy named Jonas who lives in this society that's all black and white, and everyone has an assigned job and an assigned purpose. And so one day Jonas is sent to the Giver, and the Giver is like the town elder who has all the memories of the past. And it's the Giver's job to give Jonas all of these memories. But of course, giving Jonas all these memories causes Jonas a lot of pain because this dystopian society has kind of shied away from pain. They have pretty much taken pain out of the equation. This is just such a fantastic book from start to finish, and if you love dystopian, I suggest you read this. And at number 1 is Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. You guys, I have been in love with this book for such an incredibly long time. It had such a deep and emotional connection for me, and had very strong messages about life and death, and how you have to live your life. It's about this girl named Winnie who escapes out into the woods one day, and she comes across this boy. And the boy kind of kidnaps her a little bit, I guess you can say, and Winnie discovers that this boy, Jesse, and his whole family are in fact immortal, and they've been immortal for a couple hundred years. So the Tuck family, their thing is that they don't want Winnie to tell the world about them, because if the world found out that the Tucks were immortal, then the rest of the world would want to find that way to make themselves immortal. So it's Winnie's choice to decide, does she want to give the Tucks up, or does she want to protect them? And there's also a really great love story in here between Jesse and Winnie that I absolutely adored. And this is one of those books that I remember my 5th grade teacher reading to me, and it's probably the first book that actually really made me want to read. I remember my teacher reading this book, and I think as soon as she was done reading it and sent it back to the library, I went right back to the library and checked it out. And I probably checked this book out multiple times over the course of my elementary school life. That's how much I loved it. Okay, so that's it for some of my favorite books from my childhood. In the comments below, I want you guys to share some of your favorite books from your childhood, and your answers may appear in next month's video. So last month, I asked you all what were some of your most disappointing books that you ever read, and I truly got some fantastic answers. I really loved hearing what you all had to say. Valis Fallen Angels said that the most disappointing book she read was The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Next is Segan27, and some books that she didn't particularly like were, I'm probably going to butcher these names, sorry, I'm not familiar with these titles, Tehanyu and The Other Wind by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I believe those are from the Earthsea trilogy. She also didn't like A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. I've heard a lot of stuff about that one, that in the entire Song of Ice and Fire series, that A Feast for Crows is the least liked out of the series. And she also said Night of Shadows and Prince of Chaos by Roger Zizlazli? Ooh, that one was bad. From the Chronicles of Amber. From Beretta 1342000, she said Pet Cemetery by Stephen King. And The Silent Force said Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I think I have to agree with Wuthering Heights. I didn't absolutely love Wuthering Heights. There were bits of it that I liked. I guess ultimately I didn't understand the whole Kathy and Heathcliff thing. So that's it for some of your answers. Thank you all so much for your responses. I really enjoyed reading them. And like I said in the comments below, share with me some of your favorite childhood books. And I guess that's it. Remember to subscribe and like and share. And I'll see you all next time. Bye guys.